life changer.
Got a chance, yes.
Oh, wow! Yes, for Gary Player. There it is. Can you believe it? Yes! Once and for all for Sergio.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking, just remember out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, when the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
And welcome, everybody, to the All About the Birds Network, the Fantasy and Gambling Show. We've got a special Masters edition. Hold on. Something's not right here. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Got a little something special here. Edition. Gotta wear green. Oh, you guys don't have a green jacket? You guys didn't win one of these? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I thought everyone got one of these green jackets when they played golf. No? Am I the only one?
Gold jacket, green jacket.
Hey, and he even got the little gold, cufflink thingies there, buttons and all.
That's awesome.
Only jacket you can wear that does not have to match the shirt you're wearing underneath it.
Correct.
And I love it. It doesn't fit, as you can see. It's almost short sleeve. But, I'm proud to wear this green jacket here. So again, we're all about the Birds Masters edition of Fantasy and Golf. Phil Stiefel, Jason Sullivan, Josh Gamble. We are here to talk the Masters. Guys, I know you guys are pumped up. How are you guys thinking?
No, man, I can't wait. This is the best week of the year. It's a little weird that it's in November instead of April this year, but hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely weird. I mean, we're going to get two Masters most likely in 4 months, 5 months time. Right. So it's great for us golf fans. It's great for those of us that love the Masters. But Josh.
Well, and I just want to say something about that video. So there was a part in that video where a lot of people probably didn't like it, and Jay here is going to appreciate this. Is Sergio putting a green jacket onto Patrick Reed?
Yes,
two players that everybody hates, and I love both of those guys.
Don't forget that Patrick Reed said, "Yeah, buddy," right when he got the green jacket too, to make it even better.
I love Patrick Reed, and I loved seeing Sergio win it. It was crazy because yes, we got our Eagles fans checking in. What's up? This is no Eagles talk tonight. No Eagles. And Selena, if you want Eagles talk, you come back tomorrow night when we got Derek on the show. This is all golf and all Masters talk and all. Yeah, Patrick Reed and I knew Patrick Reed's story, but when he won it, and I read more detailed into his story with his family issues and all that stuff. Him and our stories are pretty much, the same. I don't want to get into that on the air, but
except one thing. Except one thing. People like you. People do not like Patrick Reed.
There's a lot of people that don't like me. I mean, I've got a green jacket just like him, so that's how close we related we are and all. Again, wear your green jackets, guys. No?
This year, hopefully.
All right, let's dive into the Masters here. So obviously, it's in November, this weekend. Not the typical April. We've got lots of notes. And you know what? We always talk fantasy. We always talk gambling, all centered around the NFL and football. A lot of people may not realize you can make just as much money playing fantasy golf, if not more, and gambling on it, because there's a lot less people that do it. And my bank accounts were very low in June, July, or before June and July. And I started doing fantasy golf, and I padded my bank account, my stack, betting and playing the early tournaments, when the restart happened in April and May. So we're going to start with Jason, and then we'll go into Josh. What's the theory and thought process when you're building a fantasy lineup for golf?
There's a lot of different ways to go, obviously. It depends on the week. A lot of it's going to depend on the week. This is a different week compared to any other weeks, I think, because course history matters so much. For me, the first thing I'm going to do each week is I'm going to be looking at I look at, obviously, the past conditions, what happened last year, what type of golfer succeeded. Not just who succeeded, but what type of golfer succeeded. I'm also going to look at recent form. I think that's a big thing to look at who's coming in hot. That actually means more to me than course history. Yep. This week, like I said, though, is the rare exception where I think you got to weigh course history quite a bit because no first-time player has ever won the Masters. So obviously, course history matters. You want to get a guy that's come in here 4 or 5 times at least and done pretty well. So I think it's a mixture of both recent form and course history, but you got to kind of mix that all in along with your stats and whatever you think your stats are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I've always looked at, not just, the average, fantasy points per tournament or their total cuts made or anything like that. I look at their last 4 to 5 weeks when I'm building a lineup. That's one of the first things I go to. And then the next thing I go to is the specific tournament last year. So cuts made, while very important, what they've done in the last 4 or 5 weeks is great. Another thing that I look for a lot is the weather forecast. And then also how that affects the course in the tournament and then players that play well with that. So just a real quick rundown. There is rain showers scheduled every single day this weekend. There's 80% chance on Thursday. The next highest is Saturday with a 50% chance. We got temperatures ranging from 71 to 80 over the weekend. So the temperature, it's not going to be super hot. It's not going to be super cold. The wind is very minimal. I think the highest I saw was a 7-mile-an-hour wind day also on Saturday. So that is something, the rain is something to take into account, but it won't be as severe as other tournaments and all.
The rain's going to have a big effect this week, I think. It's going to make the course longer. Obviously, it's already a decently long course that favors the bombers, and I think it's going to be even more so this week. That's why you're going to see a lot of bombers obviously at the top of the pricing because those are the best golfers as well. But yeah, people are going to love bombers this week. People are going to try to stack at least 2 of them in their lineups. Another thing you were talking about when you were talking about recent form, looking at the last 4 or 5 tournaments, I want not just a guy that is making cuts. I want a guy that's trending in the right direction. I want to see, maybe a T30, a T20 going in the right direction, maybe a T5. You don't want a guy that's going the opposite direction, just barely making the cuts, finishing T50, T55, somewhere around there.
So how about Josh, when you're looking at gambling on these, when you're trying to pick the guy with the right odds to bet on, first off, can you by the odds kind of get an idea who you think is going to win? Or is it really just what he's saying, look at the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, look at previous results, and then just go from there and then not even worry about the odds per se?
So I actually have a little bit of a different approach when it comes to the gambling, and this is specifically for the Masters. I don't look quite as much at the last 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. It's definitely a factor for me, but I definitely look at course history, and recent course history I think is huge, just because there's no other tournament like this in the world where the course plays as big of a factor as it does at Augusta. Guys that know how to play Augusta are gonna play. I shouldn't say are gonna play well, but they have a better chance at playing well, even if they didn't play so well the last 2 or 3 weeks. They have that upper hand over the guys that have traditionally struggled at the course. The odds matter for, basically trying to find value in guys. But I think course history, I think is the biggest factor for me when it comes to who I'm going to choose.
So talking about all that, I mean, we had our first real golf question. I don't follow golf, but is Woods in it this year? Yes, Tiger Woods. He is the defending champion. Correct. So I think if we're going to talk about players, We could get into the different tiers of them shortly and all. But let's start with Tiger, the defending champion. He's going for green jacket number 6. When I did my notes this morning on DraftKings, he was $9,100, which is almost below that top 9K tier. And on FanDuel Sportsbook, he was at a plus 4,700 to win. So we could start with you, Josh, and then go to Jason. What do you think of Tiger's chances? Will he be competing? Will he be worth a fantasy go? What do you guys think of him?
I mean, me personally, I don't really want any part of Tiger. Ever since he won the Masters, especially from a gambling perspective, all that did was it drove his odds in the wrong direction to find any value in taking him. Outside of that Masters win, I mean, he's had some moments, where he has played well. But the Tiger of old is gone, and people are still kind of, clinging on to that. I know at my book, he's plus 3,300 right now. I see a lot of guys that are in that, plus 3,000 to plus 4,000 range that are 100 times of a better bet than he would be.
Yeah. I saw people in the plus. I mean, again, FanDuel Sportsbook might be different than what you're looking at. But I've got guys that are plus 5,000 and ahead that look like, to me, a better play. But on the flip side, when you're going to fantasy golf, you want guys that are going to make the cut all the time. Like you want to pick 5, 6, 7 guys, and you want them all to make the cut. And Tiger's 9 out of 10 cuts made this year. So, where does he stand in the fantasy realm there, Jason?
What's funny in fantasy and both in gambling too is the people he's surrounded, like you guys were talking about. He's surrounded by people like Jason Day, Webb, Simpson, Patrick Reed. Those are I feel like those guys are a lot more likely to win the tournament than Tiger Woods is going to win. For me personally, it's a fade for me this week. Like Josh said, since he won last year, he really hasn't been very good. No. And this past calendar year, he's actually outside the top 100 in all 4 strokes gained categories. So stats aren't lining up. Just the eye test isn't lining up. Not to mention, it might be chilly in the morning, and with his back, it's a full fade for me.
So, I mean, backs are a big issue. That's why I'm a great 12-hole golfer, I can't make it past that because the back acts up after that point.
Yeah, and then, just one more thing from a gambling perspective, you have to understand, kind of how the odds makers come up with these odds. And there are 2 kind of factors that they have is they have, one, they have their algorithms, they have all this other stuff where it's, how likely is this guy to win? And then probably another 50% of it is all going to be, where's the money at? What they're trying to do is make sure that they don't lose a ton of money on any particular outcome. And since Tiger won the Masters, people are like, the casual everyday bettor is like, oh, Tiger's back, Tiger's back. And they're putting money on him for no reason. And all they're doing is driving those odds, down and putting him into an unplayable territory.
It's the playing and using and betting on the name. Right. It's the same thing. We've talked about it in fantasy before. Just because Cam Newton is the big name, a 2015 MVP, it's not like a guy you should be playing regularly. Tiger's in that same boat. And also, I was listening to a little bit of his press conference today, Tiger, and he did say that even last year when he won, he wasn't playing at his best, and the fans being there got him over that hump.
Right.
And that's definitely going to be an issue this year because there's going to be no fans at Augusta this year. So any golfer that relies on the energy of the crowd is not going to have that energy this year, that support, that roar to really take them to the next level.
I think that's the biggest thing too, is that last year, I mean, he really didn't play that well in that tournament, to be honest with you. He was missing fairways. I think that last day he hit like 4 fairways the entire day. So he was riding the adrenaline, like you said, from the crowd of the back 9 just being, obviously when Tiger plays, he's got a huge following that follows him everywhere he goes. But yeah, he rode that. He honestly, he had some ridiculous shots down the stretch. So I don't know. I don't see it happening again.
Yeah, I definitely say I think we can all agree we're all staying away from Tiger this week then, right?
Yeah. And then, everybody doesn't quite realize it, right now, including Tiger, but that Masters win was kind of his swan song. Like that was it for him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see him doing anything that big ever again with just the way he's playing, the injuries, and just, I can't see it.
Do you think he'll win another tournament? Like, I know not another major, but do you think he'll be able to win another tournament? Because what's he at, 83 wins? And he's still chasing, records and stuff like that. Do you think he can win another tournament?
I'm gonna say no, and the reason I'm gonna say no is because he's not playing kind of these smaller tournaments. He's playing
all year.
He's playing more selectively, and he's playing with all these other big dogs. And anybody can catch lightning in a bottle for 4 days. But if I was to bet on it, I'd say he's done.
I would say if he was going to win one, it'd have to be a WGC, something that was a short field event with 50, 60 golfers in there. He's not going to go out and win a major or anything.
Right.
All right, so let's start building our lineups for fantasy wise. You said you wanted to break it down by tiers. So obviously, let's look at the top couple guys to start with, or if they're guys we should spend the big time money on. Personally, I'm shying away from the top couple guys personally, and we'll get into each one why. But obviously, we got Brayson De Chambeau. He's the number one. I think in my numbers, he's the number one cost on DraftKings, and he's got the best odds to win the tournament. You got Dustin Johnson. You've got John Rahm, and I believe and Justin Thomas. They're your top 2 or 3 guys numbers wise. First off, with De Chambeau, U.S. Open reigning champion. What are your guys' thoughts on him this week?
To be honest, I'm a bit confused at why he's the highest priced golfer. Obviously, he won the U.S. Open, which is key. But if you look at his recent form, he hasn't been that great, and he hasn't been that great here either. I think his highest finish at Augusta, I think, was T21. So it's a bit confusing to me. I know he beefed up. The goal was Augusta. He was doing it for Augusta. He wants to break Augusta. My biggest thing is that this course, the way it's going to play this week, obviously he bombs it, but you're still going to have to be good with the irons, and he is so bad with the irons that it makes me shy away from him, and that's why I'm going to go away from him. I feel like he wants to eat the course up, but there's just as good of a chance that the course eats him up too, because he's trying to do something that other people don't do.
He's really trying to prove that this philosophy that he gained the 40 pounds, and there's definitely some rumors that a couple of the guys out there on the tour are not fans of what he's doing. But yeah, he could win this event honestly this weekend by 5-6 strokes, but he could also miss the cut on the week and not play this weekend.
100%.
That's how wide his range is this week, and that's why he's so scary to bet or play this week. Josh? I agree. I'm really puzzled as to why he's sitting where he's sitting. At my book he's at plus 800, which is the number one. Yep.
And I just there's no value in that for me. There are some of the other big names that if you did want to bet on one of the favorites, I think you're seeing more value with some of these other guys in the top 5. There's no value there, and it's, if I'm going to pay plus 800 for any golfer, like it needs to be old school, like Phil or somebody that's that good, to be honest with you, if I'm getting anywhere down below plus 1,000.
Just real quick, we got another person. If you missed it, the fantasy, this is all about Masters golf. As one of the bosses at All About the Birds, I have the keys to do whatever I want. We love golf. So we're going to talk golf tonight. We're going to get back to the Birds tomorrow. We have Derek Gunn, legendary Eagles reporter, on tomorrow night, Brian. Make sure you don't miss it. But yeah, that's being the ball. I can do whatever I want. Fantasy golf is tonight.
I was going to say, everybody hates us, but we love each other, and we love golf. So, boom.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're all off of Tiger. We're all confused on Bryson. So the next 2 guys on my numbers, cost DraftKings wise, and also on FanDuel Sportsbook, is Justin Thomas. He's a 10,700 on DraftKings, plus 800 on FanDuel also, and Dustin Johnson plus 10K, or 10K is his value, and plus 850. Either of those 2 guys, people you want to build around, Jason?
I actually love both those guys, to be honest with you, and Rahm. Justin Thomas.
Rahm is the other 10,000. He's 10,500, but his betting odds were plus 1,000. So he was 4th in the betting odds on my book. but third in cost on DraftKings.
Yeah, I love Justin Thomas, number 1 tee to green in the field. He's trending in the right way in terms of Masters, T22, T17, T12 in the last 3. Seems like he's probably the safest play at the top. You know he's going to make the cut. You know he's going to finish probably top 15. I like him a lot this week. If he putts, obviously that's a big if sometimes for him. But if he putts, I think he's the best player on the tour. So I love him. Rahm has finished 4th place in T9 in his last 2. He seems like he has everything going right now. I heard the stat today, which was kind of crazy. Everybody's saying, obviously, off the tee is going to matter a lot this week. Jon Rahm has not lost strokes in a tournament off the tee since August of 2019. So I love that. He's a bomber. He hits the ball. I mean, he finds fairways. He's a stud for sure. So I think I'm going to start just about every lineup with one of those 2. And then my next value, I feel like, which is weird to say because he's the number 1 player in the world, is DJ. Like, how is DJ only $10,000? I know that this happened. The pricing happened a couple weeks ago, which is fine. But since the restart, he hasn't finished worse than 6th in any tournament, and the 6th was in the U.S. Open. So he's been pretty damn good.
Yeah. So on those 4 guys, fantasy wise, Justin Thomas, he's never finished better than 12th at the Masters. So that's where I might shy away from him on the betting standpoint. But this year, 10 top 10s out of 18 events. So you just can't go wrong there. Jon Rahm has played in 3 Masters. His first one, he finished 27th. His second one, he finished 4th. And last year, he finished 9th. So, again, a guy that plays well, and he's just itching to win that first major. And Dustin Johnson, if you're talking about, guys that have done well, like you said, he's finished in the top 10 the last four events that he's played. So, and he was second last year in the Masters. So, You just can't go wrong there. What are your thoughts gambling-wise with those 4 guys and those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I definitely like all of those guys to play well in this tournament. On my book right now, I have Justin Thomas actually at plus 1,200, and I think that's incredible value there for him.
I would have already bet that if I had that.
Yeah, and that's incredible value. The one guy that I do like out of all of those this week is Jon Rahm at plus 1,000. He's one of my bets. He's one of the ones that I already have down. And this is all just my own personal opinion. I mean, you guys already kind of went into, how he's played at the Masters and all that kind of stuff, is factored into that decision. But my own personal opinion, I think when he keeps his head on straight, I think he's the best player in the world. And his biggest problem is himself. Things start to get a little shaky for him and the wheels come off. So I think that even getting him at plus 1,000, it's not a ton of value. I really like him to be in contention on Sunday, and with golf betting, I mean, that's all you can ask for is the guy to be there and have a chance to win. So
we just named our top 4 golfers and the defending champion Tiger Woods. And there's another guy that's over 10,000 in value, and we kind of skipped right over him. Again, my notes are so unorganized. He's at the bottom of my list, but it kind of boggles my mind that he's at the bottom of my list. He's 10,200 on DraftKings. He's plus 1,300 on FanDuel Sportsbook. He's 16 for 16 this year in cuts made. Rory McIlroy. How come no one's talking about Rory McIlroy? Has he really been that bad this year, or has he just been that bad in a fantasy and gambling standpoint?
It's not even bad this year, really. It's just bad since the restart. He hasn't seemed to, for some reason, he was really hot before the restart. I think he had like 3 or 4 top 10s in a row. Excuse me. But he's been bad since the restart, and I think that's the biggest thing. Having said that, Rory's kind of hard to figure out like whether you want to use him or not. He probably has the highest floor and the lowest ceiling of any of the $10,000 guys, which, if that makes sense, like he's
even more so than Brayson De Chambeau.
I think so, because he's not going to miss the cut. So I think his floor is a little bit higher, but I think his ceiling's probably T20 to T15, somewhere in that range. Okay. What are your thoughts? Are you going to use Rory this week?
I'm staying away from Rory just because of his cost. 10,200. If I'm going to spend money on somebody that's going to be 10,000 or more, I'm picking somebody because I think they can actually win the event. Actually, my lineups are being centered around all guys under 10,000 because I see there's so much value in fantasy. about the guys that are under 10,000 right now. We're going to get into those. I'm going to bring up the couple names that I really like in a moment here. But the guys,
what's funny too about what you just said about the balance lineups is that the last 3 milli makers, I've been kind of like looking over them and studying them the past few days. The last 3 milli makers were all balanced lineups, meaning start with a guy or two in the $9,000 and don't go too low. So yeah, 3 straight have been like that. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to stay away from. So I'm going down my list. I've got a bunch of names in the 9,000s, totally out of order. I'm going to throw a couple names at you, you guys, to talk about. One of the guys I've loved him all year, and I've made a lot of money on fantasy golf this year. One of the guys I've had a lot this year is Xander Schofley. And he's one of the guys I'm looking at. I haven't finalized any of my lineups, but he's one of the guys I keep going back to. He was tied for second last year in 2019. He's got 7 top 10s in his 13 majors, played. I love him in general and what he's done for me. What are your guys' thoughts on him going into the Masters this year?
Josh, you want to go first?
Yeah, that's no problem. So that Xander Schofley is actually one of my bets for this weekend. I love Xander Schofley. He's plus 1,600 on my book. Obviously, he tied for second last year, as you said. He just seems like the type of guy that he plays up for the big tournaments. He's a guy that like consistently flies under the radar. A lot of people aren't talking about him. And I think that's kind of what helps keep his odds up higher than I really think that they should be. Based on his talent level and based on how he played at the Masters last year, I think he should be up closer to, probably plus 1,100, plus 1,200 in that range, right behind the big boys. That's definitely a guy that I've targeted this week as providing, a good deal of value.
It's funny what you just said right there. Like he should be up higher. He should be up higher on DraftKings too. And I think that's going to be the problem this week, and that might be the only reason I don't play him, because being below 10,000, I think he's below 10,000, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 9,800.
9,800, yeah. So I think being at that price point, you're going to get a little bit of savings. People are going to start their balanced lineups probably with him, which means he could get up to 30%, ownership this week, which if he's 30% owned, I don't want him. But Josh,
very good point.
Right.
Because we still, just like fantasy football, when we talk it every week, ownership percentage in fantasy, it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. The ownership percentage is such a huge key. Yeah. All right, next name in those upper 9,000s, guy I'm staying away from just because he's been so inconsistent with the injuries this year. He has won 4 majors. He's 9,700 on DraftKings. FanDuel Sportsbook's got him at plus 1,800. Brooks Koepka.
You know what's funny about Brooks? I kind of made a rule about 2 years ago that no matter what in any major, I was playing Brooks.
Okay.
However, I'm not going to play him in this one because he really I'm just going to go against my own word here, but he really has been struggling. I mean, the injury, like he said, it pops up out of nowhere. It hurts when he walks downhill. That's not good. I mean, that seems like
today in his press conference, he hasn't felt this healthy going into a major in 2 years. So
which is great. Yeah,
I don't know if I buy it or not, but that is what he said.
Well, and that's definitely good too. But my other thing is his results. His results really haven't been that good. He was good last week. However, he gained 6 strokes putting last week. So he's a good putter. He's not that good of a putter.
Right,
he's
exactly.
6 strokes on the field. So I don't like him this week. I don't think he can win. So at that price, I want a guy that I want more win equity.
Yep, absolutely. Is there any thought process to bet Brooks Koepka this week?
Honestly, I'm staying away from him. I just don't trust him at this point. I see other guys that have similar odds that I would feel better about betting. If somebody told me that they were going to bet Brooks Koepka, I probably wouldn't tell them not to. Just because he's the type of guy where if he is healthy, he's a major killer. You know what I mean? And I just can't buy into him until I see him play a little bit more without all of these lingering issues and to be playing a little bit better. For me, it's a stay away. But I can't hate on somebody if they want to take him. Was plus 1,600 for his talent level is what I've got him at 1,600. So I mean, for his talent level, I mean that is value for sure. I wouldn't hate on that.
I have a question for you guys. So, being that he always plays better in majors, do you believe that he really can flick the switch on? Both of you.
I do if he's healthy.
Somebody started that conversation 2 years ago that he only really cares about the majors and he just blows off the rest. And I've been thinking about it. He's not LeBron James. He can't just flip a switch, but yet he seems to do it. That's why he's got 4 major wins. So I don't know.
4 major wins. I think 5 wins total. I think he's only won 5 times.
He's only won one event outside of majors. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. I think it's just the way he's built. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it's almost like an arrogance where it's like, you know, I don't really care about these other tournaments. Like, what is this tournament? You know, what is the you know, Waste Management Open? Like, what is that? That's not the Masters. You know,
go there and get the points. Basically,
right. Yeah, exactly. So no, I do believe there is some truth to that for sure.
All right, so I'm going to run down a bunch of names in those 9,000s on DraftKings. They're all they're all over plus 2,000 on the betting lines and stuff like that. I'm just going to name 3 or 4 names. I'm going to say a quick thing, and then you guys can pick the ones you like out of it. We got Patrick Cantley. He's plus 90, or he's plus 2,500, 9,600 on DraftKings. We got Tyler Hatton, who's 9,400 plus 2,600. We got Webb Simpson, 9,300 plus 4,000. Where are my other ones? Patrick Reed, 2018 champion, 9,200 plus 3,000. Any of those names jump out of you on a betting line or on a fantasy line, guys? I mean, I got Webb Simpson as a decent play because he's played well this year. Patrick Cantley has played well at the Masters. He was the low amateur in 2012, and he had 1 top 10 last year. Hatton has never had better than tied for 44th in 3 chances there. And obviously we know Patrick Reed, he putts well, and he's a champ in 2018. Any thoughts on those 4 names?
Yeah, you know what's funny is I think Cantley is probably the best betting odds. I don't know if Josh agrees with me or not. 25-1, I think, is what I saw him at today.
That's why I got him at 25-1.
I think that's pretty solid for him.
Yeah, out of those guys, I think he's the one that probably that probably provides the most value. I think that he's probably underpriced from a betting perspective. I would agree with that for sure.
On anything else on the other guys, Hatton, Patrick Reed, or Webb Simpson?
I like Webb and Reed actually both for fantasy. Depending on how the weather is too, which they're, if it's wet, I love Reed even more this week. So he's going to be in a lot of my lineups. Webb is going to go really under-owned, which is funny because people are saying, oh, he doesn't have good course history here. Something about 2 years ago switched with Webb. He's not the same player that he used to be. His last 2 years, he's finished T20 and T5. So he's a great iron player. He's probably the best iron player on the tour. He's also a great putter too, so I can see him making some noise. And if he's low owned, I'm going to be all over him.
I know it's kind of weird to say at 9,300 on DraftKings, but I kind of wrote the word value play next to him, even though 9,300 isn't a value, but it kind of is if nobody else is playing him.
You know what's funny too? I heard somebody say this today. I think it was Rick Gaiman. He's obviously an expert. Him saying this today is that take away the tee, and Webb Simpson's probably the best golfer on the tour. Like obviously off the tee, he's not long, but with irons, putter, everything else around the green, he's probably the best player on tour. So I like, I think that's a really good value. And I agree with you. That is value.
Yeah. I thought I was weird writing that down though, but it's good to know I'm not, No. Josh, your thoughts on those guys?
I'm not seeing a ton of value with Patrick Reed from a betting perspective, but Webb Simpson, I do definitely see some value there, just for kind of the reasons that he just touched upon. Taking him in DraftKings, and for what it's worth. So my wife, she picks some golfers for the majors as well,
and she's really, really good at it too. So.
And so Webb Simpson is actually one of her picks. So we have.
I'm going to throw something down then, just on your way there, okay?
Yeah.
If I win, I'll have a drink on her.
Exactly. On my book, he's plus 3,300.
33.
And I think
4,000 on FanDuel.
I would jump all over that.
Yeah, me too.
There's just way too much value to pass that up.
Okay. And again, you guys agree with me, Tyler Hatton, for as good as he's been of a fantasy and a gambling guy this year, he's someone to stay away from this week since he definitely struggles at this event.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, so Hatton, I was talking earlier about how John Rahm, is kind of the person that gets in his own way kind of thing. Nobody gets in their own way more than Hatton does.
Yeah.
He might be the biggest hothead on the tour, and he's only like one ball in the water away from going on like a profanity laced tirade. So
right.
like throwing his like 7-iron into the pond or something like that.
Yeah.
So no, thank you on Hatton.
Well, and he's one of those guys too. I think that when he's rolling, he's so good, but when he's not, he's not, and he struggles at this course for whatever reason, which you wouldn't think he would. It kind of fits exactly what he does well, but he struggles for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's only. I mean, we talked about Webb Simpson. I mean, I got him at plus 4,000. You had him at 30, whatever.
33.
Yeah.
But Tyler Hatton's at plus 2,600. I mean, it doesn't
crazy.
make any sense to me whatsoever. That number. All right,
makes no sense.
So I talked about Xander Schofley as one of my go-to guys this year in fantasy golf. I'm going to tell the two other guys that I've been riding since the beginning of the season, and they're obviously getting much more expensive. And their odds, their betting odds have gotten better because, they're starting to win. They're starting to play well. Two guys I love that I think that can play this week. And actually, I think could both win. Maybe not as much as some of the other guys, but I think could win. PGA champion Colin Morikawa, who's at 9,500 on DraftKings, plus 3,500 on FanDuel Sportsbook. And Scotty Scheffler, who I want to correct you, Jason. You said no rookie had ever won the Masters. Fuzzy Zoeller did in 1979. He was a rookie and won the 1979 Masters.
Fair enough.
Other than in 1939, whoever won it that year, the first year, everybody was a rookie that year.
Right.
In 1979, Fuzzy Zoeller won it. It was the last rookie to win it. On DraftKings, he's a 7,800 and he's a plus 6,000 to win the event. Now, I might not pick him to win the event, but I have picked him in almost every single one of my fantasy lineups this year, and he has always played well. So
he
thoughts on
scores.
Morikawa and Scheffler there.
He scores. Scheffler, he scores.
He scores
he scores tons of points. He's one of those guys that he'll finish, T32, but he'll put up the 18th most points in the tournament or something like that. He makes birdies. He doesn't, score any bogeys really for the most part, which is what you're going to need to do this week. He's long off the tee. Mm-hmm. It's weird. He almost gets fired up for these big events too. He plays better in tougher field events too. Mm-hmm. So I like him a lot. Morikawa, on the other hand, he's priced a little bit high. He's been pretty inconsistent ever since he obviously had that cut streak where I think he won like 18 cuts in a row, making the 18 tournaments in a row.
I was betting him every single week in fantasy.
But it's like he's become more volatile, which is actually probably better in DraftKings overall. But like he's finishing more towards the top in some weeks and then missing cuts now. So I'm staying away from Morikawa, but I'll have probably a lot of Scheffler this week. Plus, I just like Scheffler too. So,
your thoughts, Josh, on them too?
From a betting perspective, those are two guys that I probably wouldn't bet. I just don't think that either of them can win. And if you don't think that the guy has any chance of winning, that there could be other bets out there that you could find, maybe do like a top 10 or, some other type of bet for one of those guys. I'm going
to get into that with the top 10 and stuff at the end here, because it's something I wanted to address on the betting standpoint of things and stuff.
Yeah. So, but to outright win, I don't think either guy can do it. So I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
Okay. All right. I got a couple other names on my page 1 of names. I've got a shorter page 2 list of names, but on my page 1 list of names, I'm just going to fire at you, guys. I'm going to say the name.
What you about to say?
Say whether you're playing them. Josh, say whether you would want to bet them at all if there's any play whatsoever there. Tony Finau never finishes an event, finished tied for 5th last year. Jason? I think Jason, did you mute yourself? Josh, can you hear him?
No, I can't hear him.
Yeah, we lost him there.
Can you hear me now?
I got you. You're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Live TV here. That's what happened.
Not sure what happened about that. Sorry about that. So
now.
He's a play. He's a smash play for me. He's going to be really highly owned. I know we're supposed to do one word or whatever, but T5, T10 in the last 2 tournaments at the Masters, one of which he had a broken ankle or whatever he did. So
dude, I thought he was done when he rolled that ankle on the par 3 tournament.
And he finished 5th. So smash play.
Okay. Josh?
His odds have been driven down too much. He used to be a I bet him every week kind of guy, just based on where his odds have always been. His odds aren't good enough for me to see any value.
Well, he never wins either, so that's
exactly. And he's like plus 3,000 right now. This time last year you'd be looking at him being like plus 5,000, plus 6,000. So it's just no value.
What about you, Phil? Are you gonna?
I'm not sure on the fantasy aspect. I think I will play him in some of my lineups. He's not someone I trust enough to play in every lineup.
Right.
But yeah, there's no way I bet him to win the event because I just don't think he's got it in him yet to win. He's still pretty young. So, I mean, I'm not saying his career at winning a major is over yet. I just don't think it's time yet for him to win. The next name on my list, I love him. I've never bet him. I've never picked him in fantasy, but I just love him at the Masters. 2-time champ, Bubba Watson. He has 2 top 10 finishes in the last 2 events he played. Guys, I mean, I don't know about you, but I love watching Bubba play, especially at the Masters.
I would say Bubba's my favorite golfer in the 9K. I would be all over him.
Adam wants to know who our favorite golfers are. He asked a few minutes ago, but yeah, I mean, I love.
He's only my favorite in the 9Ks, but he's got like 4 courses that he plays well on, and you play Bubba at Bubba courses.
And Augusta is a Bubba course.
Correct, which is crazy.
Yep. Josh?
100% all over him. Already have my bet down, plus 3,000 on my book. He's one of those guys that once you are starting up your Masters bets, I'm gonna bet him. I love Bubba. I love Bubba at Augusta, and I'm all over him this week.
Love it. I love it.
You? What about you?
I like I said, I mean, I love him. He's like my favorite. One of my favorite. Him and Phil Mickelson are my 2 favorite guys to watch in the Masters.
Me too.
Phil Mickelson's on page 2, so we'll get to Phil Mickelson on page 2 and all. But yeah, I mean, I'll try again, just like Finau. I'll play Bubba in some of my fantasy lineups, but I will place a bet on Bubba to win. That's where I'm going to get into talking with Josh in a few minutes about how to, because I've played fantasy golf for a lot this year. I've never once placed a bet on fantasy or on golf. So I'm not sure how to make my budget yet there. So we're going to get into that, in a bit. Next name hasn't had a good year at all. But in the history of the Masters, he's third to Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson in strokes gained per round with 50 rounds or more played. Justin Rose. He's third of all time in strokes gained per round. So he's 7,700 on DraftKings plus 6,500 to win it. I mean, he's had a pretty inconsistent year this year. Either of you guys using him this week?
You know what's funny is that I'm so torn on this one. It kind of goes back to what we were saying before. Is I like guys in recent form. Josh is saying at the Masters, recent form doesn't matter, but course history does. So I think he's played like 6 or 7 Masters, all top 15s except last year, which he missed the cut. So it's kind of like, what do you do with him? He's been god-awful in the past year.
He's played in 14 Masters, actually. Last year was his first missed cut. So
So, yeah. I think I'm leaning toward fade, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to go there with that guy, especially with those numbers. I mean, 7,700 plus 6,500. I mean, it's like I want to throw $1 there, just for whatever reason. I don't know why. I want to throw $1 at him.
I think it's a better bet than it is DraftKings play, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, no, I would agree that he's definitely a better bet than he is a play in DraftKings. Just because even though he missed the cut last year, he knows his way around Augusta. When you're betting on the Masters or any golf tournament for that matter, you go, can this guy win? Can Justin Rose play well for 4 days at Augusta and win? Absolutely, he can. He's not one of my plays, but he's at those odds. You're getting into probably the top 5 values. I think personally.
All right. I got one more name on my front page, and he doesn't belong on my front page at all. It's the guy that he had so many close calls, and we're talking. He's a vet. He's up there in age. He's had so many close calls. And I didn't get time to do it. I wanted to download a picture of my brother-in-law, Patrick, so I could put him up on screen because he looks exactly like my brother-in-law. I'll send you guys a message later with a picture of my brother-in-law, especially when my brother-in-law's had a few too many of these. You know what I mean? Looks exactly like him. These drunk guys look exactly like him.
Can we guess who it is?
Yeah, well, I'll give you one stat. He's got 6 top 20s in his 6 straight top 20s without missing the cut in his last 6 events, going all of golf. Name the golfer. And I love him because I've wanted him to win a major. 10 years ago, I would have said he was one of the top 3 guys to not win a major.
Usti?
Nope. Josh, no. Lee Westwood.
Okay.
He's played really well on the European Tour this year. He's made one. He had one top 20 on the PGA. He's 7,200 on DraftKings. He's a plus 10,000 on a bet. I'm throwing $1 that way because I just, for some reason, I've always thought he could win a major. He's getting a little long in the tooth. I don't think he can now. But again, his appearance, just like my brother-in-law, it's so canny. I have to and all.
You know who loves Lee Westwood?
Who?
Josh Gamble.
There you
Yeah.
go. I'd love to know that somebody else likes him like me.
I do like Lee Westwood, and I do like Lee Westwood this week. He's in my 4th tier, kind of what I would call long shots. And actually at my book, he's actually at 150. He's one of my plays this week. He's
I like it.
He's one of my plays. He's got 6 top 8s at the Masters. 5 of those have come in his last 8 appearances at the Masters. He's playing really well in Europe. I don't know how he's doing it. He's kind of getting to that age where you think he'd kind of be starting to lose a step. But he's just that old grizzled veteran that just he knows what to do. And I love Lee Westwood.
Didn't you really think that he was going to win a major by this point in his career? Because I thought so. I first fell for him, following him like when I, met my wife and, realized how, closely resembled they were and everything. But then I started watching his game. I'm like, I can't believe this guy isn't winning major tournaments because he was so consistent and so well-rounded. He didn't hit the ball bomber length, but he did everything well. And then Sunday rounds at major tournaments, he just never was able to seal the deal. All right, next page. We're on to the short list now. As we go here, guys, I got 2 names, former champions. Both have had awful seasons. One guy hasn't won a tour event since 2017, Jordan Spieth and Phil Mickelson. 2 guys that I'm staying away from. I love watching Phil Mickelson play at the Masters, just like Bubba Watson. I'm not betting him, and I'm not, playing him in fantasy. And Jordan Spieth, he has just been so bad in the last 2 years. There's no way I could play him. Do either of you guys have any thought process or any choice or any chance of playing them?
It's funny. Phil's actually my favorite golfer. So
I love him.
But having said that, I cannot play him. This is not the Champions Tour. He has won 2 straight events on that tour, but this is a little bit harder.
I couldn't even have
tour.
told you that. I couldn't even have told you won those 2.
Well, that's not even fair that he plays on that tour, but that's another subject.
When is Tiger going to play on the Champions Tour, you think?
He'd have to be 50, right?
You have to be 50. Yeah.
Which I'm not yet, so I don't have to worry about that. So
right.
No, I'm not playing either. I don't like playing Phil anymore on DraftKings, to be honest with you. And Spieth is another one of those guys that like his finishes don't necessarily always tell the whole story on DraftKings. However, he has been brutal this past year. He's been awful. He's lost strokes off the tee in his last 10 events. He's lost strokes gained or lost strokes on approach 4 of the last 6 and 4 of the last 5 on putting. So putting in his short game used to be his bread and butter, and he can't putt anymore, which is terrifying.
The only thing I'm going to say in Spieth's favor, how do you say that? Jordan Spieth's favor is he's never finished worse than the top 21 at the Masters.
Right.
So if he's going to be a play ever this season or any season, it's at the Masters. Josh?
Well, and you know what's funny? Sorry, Josh. What's funny too is the same. It was the same story last year, and he finished, like you said, he finished T21. So T21 is decent with a guy that can score the way he can score. The thing that worries me about him is the big numbers. He could easily come out on a hole and put up an 8 or 9, and then he's screwed pretty much. So sorry to interrupt you.
Nope, Josh. Your thoughts on those 2 guys?
You're good. So yeah, neither of them are bettable to win. Kind of as you guys talked about, Phil's not playing against a bunch of other people that are over the age of 50 in this tournament. As much as I love Phil Mickelson. He's one of my favorite golfers for sure. So I hate to be talking badly about him, but those days are probably over for him.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Spieth, I should preface this by saying I do not like Jordan Spieth. I think he's a baby. And I don't like him, and he's been bad. So I actually do have one bet for Jordan Spieth. It's a prop bet, so I can get into that right now if you'd like, or we could
drop your prop bet. Go for it.
So my prop bet for Jordan Spieth, and this is only a little tongue in cheek. Will Spieth find water on number 12?
Oh God, yeah.
It is.
Those kind of bets are not on FanDuel because I would love that kind of bet.
Will Spieth find water on 12? Yes, plus 275. I'm all over it.
Yeah,
I love it. All right, so I got 4. Well, I have 5 names. 4 I did research on, and then when I was reviewing my list, I realized I missed a guy that I played a lot of on fantasy this year, and I didn't even know why I missed him. But names I've played a lot of. 3 are pretty low, cost on DraftKings with high odds to win. 1 I'm actually surprised is as high as he is on both things. So I'm just going to throw all 4 names at you, then I'll touch on the last name. We got Adam Hadwin, 6,500 on DraftKings, 24,000 is his bet. Lanto Griffin, 6,600. Because again, I'm naming these names. You got to have somebody in your fantasy in that low tier, that sub 7,000 tier. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to build a balanced lineup and be able to afford the top tier guys. So Adam Hadwin, Lano Griffin, who's 6,600 plus 15,000. Louis Oosthuizen, 7,900 on DraftKings plus 6,500 to win. And Matt Wolff, who is actually 8,500 on DraftKings. So that's why I'm staying away from him. And he's plus 3,800 to win. And a name, I don't even know he's on DraftKings because I just wrote him down right before we started the show. I can't believe I didn't even think of him, is Abraham Answer.
Yeah.
I've won money with him in fantasy lineups. He's a plus 13,000 to win the event. I don't even have his DraftKings numbers. So Hadwin, Griffin, Wolff, Oosthuizen, Answer. Jason, any of those guys, good value plays?
Yeah, I think Usti, obviously you play Usti in majors pretty much. He's not going to win, but he'll probably be the runner-up. So, yeah, you always pick him in majors. Lanto Griffin, I absolutely love Lanto Griffin in DraftKings. I have a rule that if Lanto is 7,000 or below, you play him every single time. So 6,500, I'll play that all day. And then Answer's kind of a weird one, too. I was thinking about Answer today, too.
Do you have his number? I don't have his number. What's
70? I think it's 76 or 76 or 7,700. So I think you can make that work. This is his first time playing the course, but he is another guy that he plays better in better fields. So I think he could easily rack up a top 10. I don't think he'll win, but I think he's a good DraftKings play for sure.
Okay. How about Adam Hadwin? Because again, cuts made is an important thing. He's 19 to 21 cuts made this year. Is he a guy that at 6,500 you'd play or no?
I probably wouldn't play him this week. However, I play Adam Hadwin just about every single week, so he may find a way.
These are the guys I play on the small event. The Houston Open, the 3M Open, whatever.
Right, exactly. I think I have 2 value plays under as 6,000 plays. Siwoo Kim, 6,800. I think he's a guy that he could come out and absolutely crap the bed, but he could also finish top 3 or 5. So I like him a lot this week. And then I guess a question for you guys, Molinari, he has been god-awful for at least a year, right? But he finished T15 last week, and he has a really good history at Augusta. Play or no?
I wanted to write him down on my list, and I didn't just because of how bad he's been for such a long stretch and all. But again, he's a guy that has played well here. What is he on DraftKings? 6,800.
So
I mean, it's just a guy that's great value for DraftKings for a guy that's played well. You know what I mean? Right. At this event. So
he's a major champion too. So
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Josh.
I
named 5. He named 2 more. Any of those names stick out to you?
Yeah, so from a betting standpoint, the only guy that I like out of the ones that were named is Oosthuizen. He's on my book, he's plus 6,600. He hasn't missed the cut at Augusta in his last 6. He finished as high as 2nd. Granted, that was back in 2012. He's been playing well lately. He's checking all of the boxes for me. For that to be, incredible value. I think he's going to be in the hunt on Sunday, and at plus 6,600. I mean, that's a steal to me.
Yeah. Okay.
People don't like him too for whatever reason. It seems like betting him or on DraftKings, people don't like to play him for whatever reason. So
yeah.
I don't like my opinion. Like, I love Phil Mickelson and Bubba Watson. Doesn't mean I'm going to play, or doesn't mean I'm going to play them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yep. Yeah. So he would be the only one out of those that I would find to be bettable. And then just I'll throw a couple other guys out there that I really like this week. One would be Jason Day at plus 4,000. He's only missed the cut once, 9 times at Augusta. He was tied for 5th last year. Out of those 9 times, he has 4 top 10s. So he's just a guy that I'm seeing a ton of value at plus 4,000. And then my biggest number one value bet of the Masters is Ricky Fowler at plus 6,600, which is an absolutely insane number for a guy at the Masters who has gone T9, second, T11, T69, T12, T5. It's just an insane betting odd number for me. So that's a guy that I'm all over this week.
Okay.
I think that's a better bet than it is a DraftKings play, 100%.
100%.
To be completely honest, I think he can win the tournament. I think you're absolutely right, and he knows the course, arguably as good as anybody. And with his putting stroke and his short game, he could win. But at the same time, on DraftKings, I shy away from him because he's been kind of garbage this year. I mean, ever since the first of the year, he's redoing his whole swing. I don't know why he's redoing his whole swing, but he is. So he just worries me a little bit on DraftKings.
I don't know why I didn't even put Jason Day on my first page. I don't have his notes because he's not on my page. I don't have any notes on him in front of me. But I skipped over both those. On Ricky Fowler because of how bad he's been this year. But Jason Day, I'm not even sure why I skipped over him. I love the thought process behind Ricky Fowler being a value play there, though.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I'm gonna make a bold prediction right now. I don't know if I should do this or not, but I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Ricky Fowler wins the 2020 Masters.
Wow, that's a huge bold prediction.
Wow. I'd be so happy if that happened.
I mean, I'm gonna get. I want to save my prediction till the end of the show. Is that your pick? That's your pick to win the Masters.
Josh Gamble just said.
Sorry to steal your thunder here.
It's okay. My mind in short sleeve jacket is blown right now.
This is all about the birds, and that is Josh Gamble.
Wow,
that is
out of here.
All right,
people that. As I say, people that know me know that I'm bold, and when I really like something, I have no problem being bold about it. So
you're mortgaging that house on Ricky Fowler, aren't you?
What's that?
I said you're mortgaging your house on Ricky Fowler.
Bet the house, baby. Bet
there
the house.
Your wife wouldn't murder you.
Yes, absolutely.
Actual murder.
Oh my God! All right, so I know we've been going on. We're almost an hour here. I don't want to take up too many more people's time, but fantasy wise, I mean, we've kind of got an idea how to build a lineup. We know what how much money to spend. For somebody like me that's never bet before, and I'm sure there's people watching this, and I'm sure there's other people out there. They're like, how do I decide how much money to wager this weekend? So say a person spreads $50 over all his NFL games and all his plays of a weekend, or $25 or whatever the number is, whatever his weekend budget is on football. How much should they wager, and how do they split that up? Between single bets on players. They're hey, I think this guy is definitely my pick to win. How much do you put on that guy? The value plays, any of the prop bets, because on FanDuel, on a basic place like FanDuel Sportsbook, there's only so many props you can bet. You can't bet Jordan Spieth hitting the water on the 12th hole. The prop bets are make sure missing the cut, whether they'll finish in the top 5, 10, 20, 40. You could do group betting, and you could bet on top former winners. That's pretty much all the prop bets on the Masters on FanDuel Sportsbook. So all those questions combined, how do we pick the value of how much to spend this weekend as a gambler? How do you break that money up, and where are you putting? How do you decide where to put your money?
Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest with you, how much in total you bet, I mean, that's going to be up to the individual person. Let's just use round figures. Let's say every week you use $100 on your, NFL bets, or $100 on your, your college bets. And you've decided, you know what, I'm going to use $100 on the Masters. So what I would tell that person is, first, you have to ask yourself, am I doing this to have fun, or am I doing this to, try to make, money doing it? If you're just trying to have fun, there's a lot of fun prop bets and, all that kind of stuff out there that you can do. But if you're trying to win some actual money, I would say that I would take at least half of that. I would take $50 of that, and I would use that towards betting outright winner or winners, and I would, some people like to just, throw all their money on one pony and hope it works out and hope they hit it big, that kind of thing. Me personally, I like to spread it around. So, I'm going to take that $100. I'm going to use probably 50 or 60 of it. I'm going to spread that around to probably 4 or 5 guys. I'm going to kind of top load those. So the guys that are more of the favorites, I might put, let's say $15 on that guy. And then, the next tier, I might put, $10 on that guy, and just, kind of keep staggering it down as you get towards the long shots. So that's generally how I do mine. And then, so you've got $50 left over. I'll take maybe like $10 of that just to have fun with, kind of do some fun prop bets, bet Jordan Spieth to hit it in the water, that kind of stuff. I wish FanDuel, if FanDuel, anybody there is listening, can we throw that on FanDuel? Yeah, that one.
My entire $100 all on that one.
Yes, that one. And, if you like Bubba, and if you want to bet Bubba to win this week, you can piggyback a couple of prop bets at my book. Left-handed golfer to win plus 2,000, or winning player headgear visor plus 1,000.
I like it. Oh my God, that's what you miss with the places like FanDuel and DraftKings. You don't get those kind of props there,
Yeah. But anyway, so I'll probably put like $10 and do some either some fun props or some other props. There's another prop that, you can do kind of what's the winning margin going to be, some stuff like that. And then I'm going to use my other $40. Well, actually, we'll call it maybe $30, because I'll usually use about 60% of my available funds on the outright winner, 10% on prop bets, and then the other 30% I'm going to do on first round leader.
Wow. Okay.
I like to me personally, I like to bet a lot of first round leader to kind of, try to get the money in the bank, before the whole thing's over with, kind of thing. And there, I do have some statistics and some stuff like that I use to make those determinations. I'm actually going to post an article tomorrow morning to the website. And I'll kind of get into some of that first round leader stuff and how I go about it, and who I'm betting on that. So
sounds good. It's a little tease, for tomorrow.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Something coming out tomorrow,
Can I ask you a first round leader question? Is Charlie Hoffman in the tournament?
Is Charlie Hoffman in the tournament?
Correct.
Yeah, he should be. Why?
So you should bet him first round leader then, right? Because he's leading every year, right?
I mean, pretty much. You know what? I don't think Charlie Hoffman's in it. I don't think he is either. No, he's not. Oh, don't listen to me.
I just Googled that in the background there. No, that's a shame. Him and his what are they, green gloves he wears, or those ugly gloves?
Yeah, he's notorious.
He's got rubber kitchen gloves on when he's playing golf.
Yeah, he's notorious for coming out hot and then having the wheels come off the next day.
Like 10 under the first day, and then he almost misses the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we already know that Josh is picking. Who we getting to win it? Louis Oosthuizen?
Ricky Fowler.
Ricky Fowler, baby. Ricky Fowler.
All right. Jason, who's your pick to win the Masters?
Mr. John Rahm.
Wow. Okay. I like that. I'm going Xander Schofley as my pick to win it.
Oh, I like that too.
We got one more question. I mean, Adam's hung in there. He wants to know. He's been asking this all show. Is Happy Gilmore going to win?
Listen, gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit, really?
Exactly. But he does want to know if John Daly's played. No, John Daly is not playing.
Oh,
I love
man.
John Daly.
I wish.
A riot to me.
I wish he'd win.
Thanks,
and then
Adam,
he'd go.
for tuning in. Yeah, I love Xander. I'm placing my number one bet on Xander Schofley for sure. I'm going to probably try to get him in my best lineups and all. So, yes, we got Xander Schofley, we got John Rahm, and we got Ricky Fowler as our win.
Fowler, baby.
Like to bet on all three. Just so I can
Fowler,
say
baby.
that I can blame you guys for lost money.
Hey, I hope one of us is right because I have money on all three of those guys.
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
So if one of us are right, we can all win here this weekend and all. Any closing thoughts on Augusta? You know, I didn't really get into too much of Justin Thomas making fun of Brayson De Chambeau's 40 pounds of muscle, and that there's nothing he's ever seen him see that's edible that he did not eat. Let me quote him. Maybe not all muscle. The dude eats every single thing he sees. So we didn't even get into all that talk and all. I just want to throw a little ribbon on Brayson De Chambeau there since I could. Any final thoughts on the Masters, guys?
You know, it's funny. I feel like I have less of a problem with guys like JT or Brooks going after him versus a guy like Matthew Fitzpatrick a couple weeks ago that he said that stupid comment about it's bad for the game or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
People hate Bryson. Josh hates Bryson. So
anybody but Bryson.
But he is the closest thing. I mean, you guys are older like me. The closest thing to Tiger's must-see TV as we've had in golf. Yes, we've had some great golfers. We've had Rory. We've had Spieth make his run. We've had guys make runs of greatness, but they're not necessarily drawing the casual fan in. Bryson's as close, in my opinion, to drawing the casual fan in.
Well, I mean, they posted a video today. I like Bubba Watson too.
Yeah, we all love. I mean, nobody can't love
Bubba.
When he cried after his first major or his first Masters, I cried with him.
Yeah,
right.
So, Bryson, go back to Bryson real quick. They showed him swinging today. I think it was at the range. His club speed was 200 miles per hour. So obviously he's good for the game. It's absolutely insane, but he's good for the game.
Yeah, I mean, when he first broke into the scene a few years ago, I mean, I didn't buy into his whole different swing technique and all the science behind it. I'm not
stupid hat that he wears.
I'm not an analytics guy in basketball or baseball. But come on, he's winning. He's just also losing a lot too.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. I heard this today. What would be your dream pairing for a Sunday pairing for your final pairing?
Right now, with this field that we're going in with, all three of our picks to win going up against each other so that one of us can go into next week's show with bragging rights. I mean, I guess that would be mine.
So I have one. Brooks and Bryson.
Yeah, I mean,
coming down the stretch.
Muscle versus muscle.
Well, they hate each other too. So
they hate each other. Can I give you one that's not realistic at all?
Yeah,
Tiger and Phil.
Yeah, I mean, who would have? I would have say that, but I didn't want to be that guy.
I'll be that guy. Take me back to like 2002. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it. I'll throw. Let's see. I'm looking at my list here of names. I'm gonna go just for shits and giggles. I'm gonna go Lee Westwood just because I love him against. Let's see. I don't know. No, I don't know who to pick. Phil Mickelson. I just want to see Phil Mickelson compete. Yeah. So any final round with him in it, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be hooked. I mean, it's going to be competing the final round with the Eagles-Giants game on Sunday and my post-game show on Sunday afternoon. But it's going to be tough to see. And another thing I didn't even look into. Just something dawned on me. Being in November with daylight savings time, all those final round times are going to have to. I didn't think of that till it just popped in my head. All the start times on the final round are going to be moved up. So where they might not normally be finished until 6, 7 o'clock, they're going to have to be done by 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
not even sooner than that.
4:30.
So the Eagles game won't be over, and we'll already have a Masters champion. So something to think about. But yeah, that's interesting stuff. Hey guys, this has been a blast.
This is so much fun.
What's the next major? The Augusta next year, right? Next year, right? You know, I can't wait to do another golf episode with everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in. We had some great viewership. We didn't have too many questions. There's not too many golf questions out there. We had a lot of fun. For Jason at JSully2121, for Josh at J_rock. Thank you for tuning in. The three of us will be back Thursday night with our normal NFL. There was somebody earlier. I'll try to find their question. You know, well, I pass on that question. Whatever. You know, there's somebody asking, where's the Eagles Talking Football Talk? We'll be back with our regular football, fantasy, and golf show on Thursday night. Tomorrow night, the Eagles All About the Birds show, the preview show for the Week 10 matchup against the Giants. We do have legendary Eagles reporter Derek Gunn coming on the show. It's why we're going live at 8:30 instead of 9:15. These two Detroit guys don't know Derek Gunn, but Derek Gunn he's one of the all-time greats, legend in Philadelphia, and he's got a special reputation of, even though he asks the players the tough questions, every player loves him. He could literally ask the player, why'd you suck ASS today? And they would answer him honestly because he's developed that reputation with the players so well. So Adam, thanks for checking in. You know, can't wait till tomorrow night. Again, All About the Birds. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, everybody have a good night. I can't say go Birds. What are we going to close the show with tonight?
Let's go, Ricky.
Yeah, hit them well, hit them straight.
Yeah.
And be honest on those scorecards, everybody. Everybody have a good